It was a calm Saturday morning when Marcus eased his boat into the quiet water. The sun was just beginning to touch the lake's surface, turning ripples into gold. Fishing had always been his sanctuary, a rare space where he could breathe without the weight of the world pressing in. But peace doesn't always go uninterrupted. From across the dock, a sharp voice cut through the stillness. "Sir, you can't keep your boat here," a woman announced, her tone more command than courtesy. She introduced herself as the head of the local HOA, though she didn't wait for Marcus to respond before continuing. "This is private property. Our fishing club uses this dock, and you're not a member. You'll need to move along." Marcus regarded her calmly, his hand still resting on the weathered wood of the dock. He knew that tone. He knew that look. In her mind, she was enforcing rules, but beneath it ran something older, heavier, an assumption that a black man standing where she didn't expect him to be must somehow be in the wrong. "I appreciate your concern," he said evenly, "but I'm right where I'm supposed to be." The woman scoffed, glancing over her shoulder at a few others from the fishing club who had wandered closer, their eyes full of unspoken judgment. Marcus said nothing more. He had learned the power of patience and of choosing the moment when truth would speak louder than prejudice. The silence stretched, broken only by the water lapping against the pier. Finally, Marcus reached into his jacket and produced a folded document, worn at the edges from years of safekeeping. "This," he said, unfolding the paper with deliberate care, "is the deed to this lake. It's been in my family for 3 generations. The land, the water, the dock. You're standing on my property." His voice didn't rise. He didn't need it to. The truth carried its own gravity. The woman's face paled. A few members of the fishing club shifted uncomfortably. "That can't be right," she muttered, but her voice lacked conviction. Marcus continued, steady as the shoreline, explaining how his grandfather had purchased the lake decades ago. "Despite the barriers stacked against black ownership in those days, my family kept it," he said, "so we could have a place free from the rules of people who never wanted us here in the first place." When the HOA's fishing club received notice the following week that their agreement to use the dock was revoked, the message was clear. Marcus didn't raise his voice, didn't demand an apology. He simply exercised the authority that came from ownership, hard-earned and fiercely protected. In the end, the lake remained, as it always had been, a place of peace. But for Marcus, it was also a reminder dignity is not granted by permission. It's claimed, defended, and anchored in the truth that no one can take away. In the weeks that followed, the whispers traveled faster than the wind over the water. Some members of the fishing club avoided Marcus entirely, embarrassed by their part in the incident. Others tried to approach him with awkward smiles, eager to smooth things over without ever saying the words, "I'm sorry." He accepted their nods with polite restraint, but offered no promises of reconciliation. Forgiveness, he knew, was not the same as forgetting. The woman from the HOA once, so certain of her authority, kept her distance. Marcus had seen her at the grocery store, pushing her cart down a different aisle when she spotted him. He didn't gloat. There was no satisfaction in humiliation, but he recognized the quiet power of truth finally acknowledged. Even in silence, Marcus continued to fish on his lake. The mornings were still golden, the water still calm, but now there was an added layer of meaning in every cast of the line. He thought often of his grandfather, who had fought legal battles and endured insults to secure that deed. He thought of the dignity that came from knowing one's worth long before others did. And though Marcus never sought confrontation, he carried the knowledge that standing one's ground was not about anger, it was about legacy. The lake was more than water and land. It was a testament that history could be rewritten, not with grand speeches, but with quiet ownership, unshakable truth, and the courage to hold your place when someone tries to push you off the dock.